Hello and welcome. Tandem Press and the Jazz Studies program at the Mead-Witter School of Music at the University of Wisconsin-Madison are pleased to present the fourth year of the Tandem Press Jazz Series. And we are delighted to welcome you, our audience here, and also those of you at home listening to the live stream from the comfort of your home. This series is made possible with the incredible support of the Brittingham Fund, and also the live streaming tonight is brought to you by Audio for the Arts in conjunction with DA Productions, and that is with the incredible support of Kathy Chazen and Larry Miller. And this program could also not happen without Johannes Wallmann, who is the John and Carolyn Peterson Chair in Jazz Studies, and his colleagues John Schaefer, Jonathan Greenstein, Nick Moran, and Les Thimmig. I also want to thank the amazing students for playing tonight. And tonight, the program will be featuring the Jazz Composers Group, led by Les Thimmig. So enjoy.
All right, thank you very much. As previously announced, we are the UW Jazz Composers Group, so named because all the music we play is in one way or another written by members of our UW Jazz community. And we just proved that with our first tune, even though that is a song that has now become a kind of a jazz classic from the early 60s, written by a wonderful saxophonist, Wayne Shorter, titled Speak No Evil. It's in that particular arrangement was done by one of our own, one of our trumpet players, Mr. Jack Mulvey. In fact, those of you who were at our shows last year in December or May, Jack was our trumpet player in the band last year. Huh? So last year he was playing the trumpet, this year he's writing. See, next year he'll probably manage the band. So anyway, we're going to continue that tradition of student composition by continuing now with a composition by not a former member of the band, but a current member of the band, Mr. Luke, our piano player, who has been writing quite a bit for us. He actually wrote one last year before he joined the band. This year, even though the school year is only about half over, he's already written 3 for us. You're going to hear 2 of them today. So this is, I think, the most recent one. The ink is still drying. He calls this one Housing for All. Luke, take a bow. All right, we're going to continue with yet another piece of music that was written by members of our, or a member of our UW Jazz student body. And it occurs to me that we seem to be making a pattern here. I said that our first tune, written by the trumpet player from last year, and this year he's writing a chart, and he makes it a very original version of what's a jazz classic. And now we have the same thing going on, because this is written by Mr. Jordan Kowalski, who, again, those of you who were around last year, Jordan was our drummer in this band. So he's taken another jazz classic, except this one is from the early 50s, written by the great Miles Davis, and he's turned it into a quite original treatment. Well, Miles calls this Solar, Jordan Kowalski arrangement. Thank you once again. So we'll be returning a little later to some more composition by the UW Jazz students, but right now we'll turn to something that comes out of what we call my library. Maybe some of you have been around this town a while, go to some of the jazz events. Up till about, I guess it was about 7 or 8 years ago, I led a group, we called ourselves the Les Thimmig 7. It was the exact same instrumentation you see up here. And we, all the music in the group played was written by me, very egotistical. And for various reasons, some key people left town and all kinds of different things happened. We kind of shut the group down about 8 years ago or so. And there it sat, the library sat on the shelf, and we all got busy with other things and so on. But now in the last several years that we've been heating up our jazz activities at UW, it occurred to me, wow, let's revive the group, except instead of making it a professional group out on the street, let's make it one of the school groups. And yeah, it'll be so my library can be the foundation work for what we hope is more and more all the time, work by the students. But you have to realize that writing these pieces of music is like writing a novel. You don't do it overnight. It takes time and so on. So if somebody says, I'm going to write a piece of music, sometimes a couple of months later the piece comes out. So it's no fault of anyone's that we can't put on at this point at least, put on a program of all student writing. So we have my library as the foundation, and we fill it in that way. So as I said before, the Les Thimmig 7 played Les Thimmig music exclusively, but there is an asterisk footnote to that it must have been about 12 or 13 years ago. I think you're all familiar with our Jazz at 5 series that happens in August, up at the top of the State Street, very nice outdoor thing. And the theme that year, maybe some of you remember the precise year, the theme was the music of Ellington, right? And they said, okay, let's bring your group in and play. I said, okay, well, gee, maybe an all Thimmig program when we're supposed to be saluting Ellington, there's conceit and then there's conceit. I mean, come on. So I made versions of 3 of Duke Ellington's compositions for it. So that's the one exception in my library of my writing. So, and this is going to be one of them. And it reminds me, we'll slow things down, play something a little on the pretty side. One time, many years ago, Count Basie was in an interview in a magazine, and he was asked, as interviewers often do, to come up with a question. He said, well, is any music ever perfect? Yeah, poor Basie. You get, with questions like that, you always get stuck, And he said, well, no, blah, blah, we do our best, but it's never perfect. And so the interviewer said, well, what's your idea of musical perfection? And Basie answered, he said, well, musical perfection would be going out to hear Duke Ellington's band and walking in just as Johnny Hodges was about to stand up and play Warm Valley. I said, so with that in mind, here's our little version of Duke Ellington's Warm Valley. All right, thank you once again. So we'll go from the very pretty to the very energetic and close out this first portion of our concert today by going to the Caribbean islands. It doesn't matter whether you go to Cuba or Puerto Rico. We find a tradition called the son, which we love very, very much. And maybe somebody, who here remembers our group Mata Salsa? Yeah, okay, yeah. Again, another group from the past. Why do these groups end? Wow. Yeah, we were going for a good 20 years there. And this is one of the songs I wrote for Mata Salsa at the time. And it's, the title in English would be A Public Place Where the Sun is Shining. And, somehow it's so much better in Spanish. So see what you think. We call it that una plaza soleada. Much better, huh? This language of ours is something else. Everybody else's language sounds much better, right? Una plaza soleada. Everybody got the solo order? right, thank you very much. So we are going to take a little bit of a break right now, just a little one. So stay where you are. No one's allowed to leave. We got plenty more today, so thanks a lot. We'll be right back.
So we're going to have a brief intermission, and we invite you to view the show in the gallery downstairs titled Nights and Weekends, which features work by staff at Tandem Press, and also stroll through the studio and see what we're up to, what prints are in progress. And for those of you at home, there will be a brief interview on upcoming events at Tandem Press.
I'm speaking once again with Paula Panczenko, the director of Tandem Press, and always a lot going on. People, I think, who are tuned into these shows need to know that you have a gallery now. So there's always really great stuff to see in addition to these terrific jazz concerts. And let's start with the Holiday Open House. That starts December 15th, I believe. And what are you going to have for that?
Well, we're going to have a wide selection of prints by various artists. The Holiday Open House will start at 10 in the morning and conclude at 4. But during the day, there will be printmaking demonstrations as well by our master printers, where people can actually come and see a print being created. So that will happen at 11, 12, and noon. Okay. So that will be very exciting for a lot of people to see how a print is actually made. And then a lot of the prints that will be on view will come from a range of artists that we've had over the years. All 85 of them. But we won't have that many of those people in the gallery.
I was going to say that.
Did
you make it bigger while I was away?
No, I didn't. No, we didn't. But we will have also works hanging right throughout the building.
Okay. And that is one day only on December 15th? It
is. But people can come in from December 1st to December 23rd to look at the artworks that are available, and many of the works will be discounted because people, I know at this time of the year, have a lot of presents that they need to buy for the holidays.
Terrific. Okay, yeah, I was going to ask if these would be available for sale.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, excellent. So there you go. If you haven't taken care of your Christmas list yet, ta-da. And then in the spring, you have a number of artists that you're planning to bring in. And the first is an artist of whom I know nothing, who goes by the name of Swoon. Tell us about Swoon.
So Swoon is from New York. She was born in Florida, and she is an amazing artist. She started her career as a street artist, and she also did a lot of performance art. And one of the most exciting performances that she did was to make a boat with about 30 of her friends and sail it down the Hudson River to the Jeffrey Deitch Gallery, which is a very hip gallery in New York. And every night they stopped along the Hudson River and did music performances. And they actually built this boat themselves. They then took it to Venice, and they actually went into the city of Venice. They tried to get permission to do this. They were not granted permission, so they came in the middle of the night, and the police were everywhere cheering them on because they were so excited to see this incredible handmade boat that sailed down the canals. She's also an amazing artist. She had a wonderful exhibit at the Brooklyn Museum, which was a huge installation, and she painted the walls with fire extinguishers. The walls were about 30 feet high to get this sense of water and movement. And again, she used a boat as part of the piece. And she is known a lot for her incredible portraiture. So even though she is a performance artist, she's also classically trained. And so her drawing is really incredible. and we will have works of hers on view, and then she will be working from the end of February through early March at Tandem.
So does she also have an engineering background? I mean, you can't just build a functioning boat that doesn't leak and sink and, do all kinds of horrific things, if you don't know what you're doing. That's really astonishing to me.
Well, I think she has a lot of collaborators who she works with.
Okay.
Because she started a foundation after the terrible earthquake in Haiti, and it's called the Heliotrope Foundation. And what she did was she went down to Haiti with some of her artist friends, and then they looked at what was being done. They did research into what needed to be done to rebuild in the event something like this happened again. Mm-hmm. And so they found an architect. They did a worldwide search who said, do not bring in any man-made materials from outside of Haiti. Use the materials from Haiti. So they built a community center, and now they're building houses. And she raises funding for this whole endeavor. And they're also training several of the people down there on how to build houses and also how to create artworks and so on and so forth. So she's really an extraordinary person.
Yeah, sounds like
and
it.
She is an amazing speaker. And if people want to see what she's like before she comes to Tandem, you can go on YouTube and hear some of the speeches and lectures that she's given.
Okay.
She talks very quickly.
Okay, very, very well. And can we also on YouTube? Can we also see this boat? Are there videos of the boat?
Yes, there are videos of the boat.
I'm very curious about that. I'm going to take a look at that.
Yeah.
And what will the nature?
And
so you just go ahead.
You could also go on her own website where you could see that. So it would be under Swoon, but she is known. Her actual name is Caledonia Dance Curry, and people call her Callie. But she had the moniker Swoon when she was painting on the streets.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so now you've mentioned a lot of things with which she is involved, from helping humanity to her artwork and performance art. What will the nature of the display that we're going to see at Tandem Press? What will the nature of that exhibit be?
Well, basically, she's coming to make new prints.
Oh. So we're not going to just see stuff she's already done. She's going to be creating right there.
Right there.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
this is okay. So this is going to be really special.
And the very funny thing was, when she came the last time, we invited her because we have a really large press, and she works on a very large scale.
Okay.
But when she came to see us at the print fair in New York, where there's lots of very small prints. So she started working on small prints, and works like so hard. She came in every day, she'd start working. And she never walked to the back of our studio. And then on the second last day, she walked to the back of the studio and said, "Oh, I remember why I was supposed to come here, to work on a large scale," which was really funny.
Oh, that is great.
And so I think she may start a very large project.
Okay. Now that she knows what's back there,
Yes,
she won't.
exactly.
Okay, great. She won't miss that. That is great. And who else is coming in the spring?
Well, we have a wonderful African American artist who was born in New Orleans, lives in New York, Rashad Newsom. And this is a collaboration with the Division of the Arts, which was formerly the Arts Institute.
Okay.
And this gentleman is an amazing artist, performance artist, video artist, musician, and does all these collaborations. And we were very excited to have him make prints. And so we haven't got the exact dates of his visit, because he's going to be doing so many things at the university for the entire semester, because he is the artist in residence for the spring semester. Then we have another artist, also African American, Derek Adams. And he does mostly portraiture, but he also does sculpture, installations, and he is also into music. So I think the theme of our spring semester will definitely be multidisciplinary, because almost every artist who's coming in is multidisciplinary. And in March, we will bring back the Irish artist Mazer, who does murals and who also has made a lot of prints with us.
Okay. Wow, yeah, that's amazing. Lots of great stuff coming up, and every artist, like you said, is interested in and talented in all these different disciplines. So that is really great. And what do you know the dates for Swoon?
She changed her dates. I think it's the 23rd of February through the 3rd of March.
Okay. All right. We'll look for that. And of course, all this will be on the Tandem Press website.
Everything will be on the website.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's Tandem Press. Is it
.wisc.edu.
.wisc.edu. Tandempress.wisc.edu. And anything else that you want to tell us about, or that we should have to look forward to? We've already got a pretty full calendar here through
we do.
into April.
And then we'll have our jazz concerts in February,
Yes.
March, and April, which we're very excited about. And then we'll be doing a lot of fairs again this year, in addition to exhibitions at Tandem. But we'll be in New York and San Francisco and San Antonio.
Okay.
So-
Terrific. And wow. All right. And so lots to see and hear
Yes.
at Tandem Press. Thank you, Paula, as always, for not only coming in for these conversations, but also just all the things that you guys do. And of course, you've just finished up with your Nights and Weekends display, where we got to see the incredible art that is created by the people who actually work at Tandem Press, who are artists in their own right. And I feel like this is a treasure trove of art that people should really experience at Tandem Press. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back. For those of you just now joining us, I'd like to reintroduce the Jazz Composers Group, directed by Les Thimmig.
Alto, trumpet, piano, bass. I'll announce it first. All right, we're back. Thank you all for staying, and a few of you for coming in. As promised, we're continuing with our series of examples of our UW student writing here. And once again, remember I said before that Luke, our piano player, is writing all the time. Well, here's the second one of his tonight. And it's he wrote this in commemoration of a very great jazz trumpet player who we lost several years ago at much too young an age, Mr. Lester Bowie. And so he calls this one Bow for Bowie.
One, two, one.
All right, this might be a nice time to everybody to say hello to the group individually, right? Just to let you know who we all are. In the back row from, well, this is usually the audience is out there and you're over here. So from your right side, right? And they're over here. This is a new configuration. Those of you who've been here before, we used to be over there, right? And so I'm a little bit turned around, right? So our rhythm team, Luke, you just met through his composing. Luke, yeah. And Jarrett is our bassist. And tucked over here, you can hear him, but maybe you can't see him so well, our drummer, Teddy. Yeah. And our combination trombonist and van driver tonight is Kyle. You have to get here some way. You know, we don't just, we're not Batman. We need a vehicle, right? And playing trumpet and flugelhorn, Nate. Right. And my saxophone partner, Mr. Ben. Yeah. Okay. Speaking of everyone, that time, that piece of music contained the first bass solo we've had tonight. You know, sometimes it just works out. Sometimes a lot of them, sometimes not. But we need to put a little extra attention on that, not to embarrass Jarrett. But this is going to be his last performance with us because we are making a little bit. We're like the sports teams. We trade players once in a while, and we have this little thing at the university called scheduling, which is an absolute nightmare. And so for scheduling hassles, two of our groups are switching bass players for next semester. So since this is our last performance this year, this is our last time for Jared. So we want to publicly thank him for his fine work all this semester. Yeah. We've got some blues coming up in a minute. He's going to play some solo on that too. But that's a lot of times the bass player gets overlooked. But take the bass away sometime and see what that sounds like, and you'd all go home and watch TV, I think. Right. Okay. Fine. So we'll go back to my library with a little something indicative of the music of the southern end of Brazil, which comes out of the samba tradition. You know, and the sambas tend to be in the old tradition pretty fast and hot and so on, but in the late 50s we had a little movement that happened down there that slowed things down and made it a little prettier, a little more dreamy, and so on. They called it the bossa nova. And it's interesting, the etymology going there. I was told all the time, I mean, that was in the late 50s when I was in high school, and I said, I like this stuff. They said, oh, nova, of course, in a lot of languages, that means new. And they said, bossa, oh, that's just the beat. It's a new beat. Well, that's not correct at all. In Brazilian Portuguese, bossa means a bump. And the idea is when you say, oh, I got an idea, you say, I got a bossa. I got a bump on the head. And the idea popped in. So it was actually a new idea of in that slower samba tradition. So this is, from that, we call this one the drifting night. So that piece of music had quite a bit of writing in it. That's what we like to do. This size group, it kind of sits on the fence between being a small group and a big group. It's not a big band, but with the four horns up here, we can sort of act like one once in a while. Yeah, but just fewer mouths to feed, it sets us up to have more solo work and so we like this kind of group very much. But once in a while, we like to take the writing and set it aside a little bit and just focus on the blowing. In other words, have a good old-fashioned jam session. And there's no better medium to do that with than our good old blues form, a little 12-bar nugget that it's so simple you think a 4-year-old could have thought it up, but it invariably is a musician's favorite thing to do is to play on the blues. So we're going to turn a spotlight on the individual soloist now with a little bit of minimal writing that we call a bolt from the blue. Wait for your cue. All right, thank you once again. Back in the 60s, which for me is my New York days, long before I came to Madison, and one of the things I like to do is hang out at some of the big-time pool halls that are around. I like to play myself. I'm no star. I'm no great hustler, but it's just fun to watch the games, and also some of the characters that are in there. And one of the ones, a favorite of mine, a favorite of many people consider it the number one pool hall in the whole world, now long gone. It was McGurr's on 45th Street, very near Times Square. Maybe some of you know the Paul Newman movie, The Hustler, from 1960. Well, that was Ames Pool Hall. That was a carbon copy of McGurr's. McGurr's was the model for that, and some of the people who hung out there. And so I have titled a few of the tunes for some of the phenomena of the big-time pool halls, and this is one of them. One of the characters in there, he was a great pool player. He would hustle you right out of your shirt, but he was legally blind. I mean, he wore glasses that were, I swear, 3/4 of an inch thick, and he had never had a driver's license in his life or anything. Yet he could play. He used to always say that some people use the rail system, I use the braille system, right? So his name was Eyeglass Joe, right? And so that's the title of this next tune, our testimonial to playing pool even though you can't see the table, right? Eyeglass Joe. All right, thank you again. We are winding down to the bottom of our program right now. Once again, say hello to the members of the ensemble. Our rhythm section is Teddy, Jarrett, and Luke. And the magical horns from your end, Kyle, Nate, Ben, and me. Okay, that was all about pool players. We had another obsession, like back in the 70s, maybe some of you recall that. It was kind of a rough time for television. We didn't have all the digital things now with 9,000 channels and movies anytime you want or anything. You're kind of subject to whatever the networks put out. And it was kind of slim pickings. But there was one show that really turned us all on week after week after week, and that was The Muppet Show, right? And of course, it's very, very great little show in so many ways, but what a lot of people don't realize is that Jim Henson, who was the brains behind the Muppets, was very much a jazz pianist. And that's why all the music humor on the show was so right on the button. And the musicians used to always watch the show and just crack up at some of the little in-jokes and so on that only musicians tell other musicians. And we used to like it a lot. So we wrote some tunes in honor of some of the characters there. So this is one of the minor characters. You may recall he was the sub-teenage son of the guy who owned the theater. Remember, Kermit was always behind in his monthly payments, and so he had to keep this kid around to keep the theater owner happy, right? And he was a good little kid, but he was kind of always in the way and kind of gets into trouble and everything. So we wrote this tune for him. So we thank you once again for your wonderful attention this afternoon. And we like being over on this side of the room, by the way, for all the administrative types who are listening. Yeah, it's very nice over here. Good. So we named this one after that cute little character. His name and the name of this piece is Scooter. You remember Scooter? Okay, well, good, man. Let's hope you like the tune, too. Thank you very much. The UW Jazz Composers Group.